This is Mercury, the smallest planet in the solar system and one that is closest to the Sun. In size and appearance, it is similar to the Moon. Perhaps a long time ago, it used to be a satellite of Venus. Mercurial daily life looks rather strange. One day lasts over 2 years. The Sun is 3 times bigger than it is on the Earth. And during the day, it changes its size and can even move in different directions. Such a long day leads to extremely hot temperatures on the surface, and at night, with no heat or atmosphere, it becomes terribly cold. But at a depth of only 3 feet, this difference is not felt, and the temperature always remains the same. The best time to see Mercury is in the evening when it is just above the horizon. At this time, it shines brighter than all the stars in the sky, but soon disappears following the Sun. Meet Venus, the second planet from the Sun. It is very similar to the Earth. It too has an atmosphere, and it is roughly the same size and weight. But unlike other planets, Venus rotates in the opposite direction and very slowly. The surface of Venus is hidden under a thick layer of clouds, and scientists have sent a research apparatus to study it. It flew there for a whole 4 months, but couldn't even hold out for 2 hours. The device exploded in the atmosphere because the pressure on Venus is almost 100 times greater than on Earth. Also, Venus is the hottest planet in the solar system, because a thick, 20-kilometer layer of clouds of sulfuric acid and a dense atmosphere of carbon dioxide keep in the sun's rays, creating a greenhouse effect. Over there, on Venus, it is always twilight, and acid rain is constantly falling, with raging hurricanes and lightning storms and erupting volcanoes. In the midst of the vast number of stars and galaxies, there is a tiny blue dot. It is our home, the planet Earth. The Earth is the 3rd planet from the Sun, and for now, the only known place that has life. The Earth rotates on its axis. That is why we see day change to night. This axis is tilted and is always pointed in one direction, towards Polaris. Because of this tilt, the Earth positions its sides toward the Sun differently in each season. When solar rays fall straight, it gets hotter and summer comes. If the rays fall at an angle, the heat is lower and winter comes. Significant areas of our planet are covered with oceans. The largest of them is the Pacific Ocean, and it is bigger than all the continents combined. The Earth is inhabited by millions of species, underwater, on the ground, and in the air, and they are all connected with each other. Our home is a fragile organism, and we should treat it very carefully. Hey kids, here's the Earth. And that's the Moon, the satellite of the Earth. That means that it goes around the Earth. That's why we see it travel across the sky, day and night. Though it seems like you can reach it with your hand, it's actually really far away. If we decided to walk to it, it would take us almost 10 years. Or if we took a spaceship, it would only take a day. The Earth is 80 times heavier than the Moon, but things on the Moon are 6 times lighter, so you can easily lift a cow or jump very high. Unlike the Earth, the Moon doesn't have any atmosphere, so it's a little weird there. There's no air, you can't hear sounds, and it gets freezing cold when in the shadow and steaming hot in the sunlight. But in spite of all those problems, the first human lunar colony is only 15 years away. You can come too if you want.
Since ancient times, people noticed bright-tailed stars appeared in the sky just as suddenly as they disappeared. Today, we know that these were not stars. They were comets. A comet is a small celestial body the size of an average city, which consists of ice, rock, and frozen gases. It rushes out of the dark depths of space, remaining invisible for a long time. But when this dirty snowball approaches the sun, it gets heated and forms a bright trail of dust and gas that can stretch for millions of miles. Some comets, like planets, orbit the sun over a period of a few years, but most of them need hundreds, thousands, and even millions of years. For example, the brightest comet of the last century, Hale-Bopp, won't come back to us for 2,000 years.
Ayoko na. Bright in the sky shines Jupiter. It doesn't emit light of its own, just like the moon. It only reflects the sunlight. Jupiter is the largest and the heaviest planet of the solar system. It has 67 satellites. The largest of them is even bigger than Mercury. You can't land on Jupiter because it's almost entirely made of gas. Every revolution around its axis takes only 10 hours. This crazy speed causes different atmospheric phenomena, such as hurricanes and storms. One of these hurricanes is the Big Red Spot. It is bigger than the Earth and has lasted for hundreds of years. That's Jupiter, bright and blustering.
Saturn is the sixth planet from the Sun and the second largest planet in the solar system. It belongs to the so-called gas giants, which consist mainly of various gases and do not have a solid surface. If you could put Saturn into water, it would float to the surface because hydrogen and helium, which make up a large part of the planet, are lighter than water. Saturn is famous for its rings, which consist of a large number of ice particles, ranging in size from specks of dust to a 3-story house. To ride along one of the rings in a car, we would need a long journey over a year. At the same time, the rings are so thin that if we were on the equator of Saturn, we would not even notice them. Saturn, also known as Lord of the Rings, is the farthest planet that can be seen with the naked eye. For a long time, people thought there were only 6 planets because they are easy to see in the night sky. Uranus, the 7th planet from the Sun, was discovered much later with a telescope and named after the Greek god of the sky, Zeus's grandfather. Unlike other planets, Uranus rotates on its side. Presumably, it got this tilt from a collision with a large body, the size of Earth. Like Saturn, it has rings, but they are dark and do not reflect light. Together with its brother Neptune, Uranus forms a group of so-called ice giants. Because of their distance from the Sun, light and heat that come to the surface are so scarce that even during the day there is twilight and it is terribly cold.
The stars above us are very beautiful and very useful. Before phones and before the compass, people used the stars to guide their way in travels. Those who live in the northern hemisphere noticed that one bright star is always in the north because it is right above the North Pole. It is called Polaris. To find Polaris, you first need to find the Big Dipper. A straight line drawn through one side of the dipper points to Polaris. So if you stand facing Polaris, in front of you will be the north, behind you the south, the east to your right, and the west to your left. Try to find Polaris. Check yourself with a compass.
The sky is divided into imaginary pieces called constellations. Looking at these triangles and points, the ancients imagined the characters of their favorite myths. Because of Earth's rotation around its axis, the constellations at night do not stand still, but quietly float across the sky. Let's imagine that the Earth is a cabin of a cosmic carousel, and at its center sits a luminous ball, the Sun. If you pass on this slow carousel for a year, we notice that some constellations we see in the fall, others in winter, and different ones in spring and summer. Our planet is thought to be divided along the equator in the northern and southern hemispheres, and each of them, too, has their own starry sky. In the northern hemisphere, you can always see the mysterious Cassiopeia, and in the southern hemisphere, it is difficult to miss the Southern Cross constellation, which is